Hey everybody, this is Brian Yellow. It's 3 o'clock in the morning, so I thought this was the best time to do an introduction of my buddy Alexan. We one time worked a horrible job together that he realized right away was not befitting a man of his character and walked away. We ate a few lunches together and fostered a friendship, which is cool because it led to an opportunity to talk to him many years later and find out he is a really wonderful dude who does some really great art and has a lot of great opinions that he's willing to share with everybody who listens to this podcast. Um, his contact information obviously is going to be in the show notes. He's doing some wonderful things with patches right now and got a good attitude about art, what he's doing for the future. Like Sam, everybody. You are an illustrator by trade, correct?
Yeah. Nobody pays me. No, I'm joking.
That's cool. Nobody pays me either.
It's actually something I've always wanted to do since I was like a little kid.
Okay.
When I was about 7 or 8, I would say. My mom, her first job in the Army was a graphic illustrator. So this
You're
was
a
like,
military brat.
yeah, I was. My mom. This was like back in the 80s. So in West Germany, in Heidelberg.
Heidelberg.
Yeah.
I got stationed at Peden Barracks myself with my dad when I was a kid. I did the Germany thing too.
Yeah.
My dad was a captain in the artillery.
Nice. Yeah, my mom was in communications, so that's how she ended up an illustrator.
Oh, that's interesting. An illustrator in the Army. That sounds like a great job.
It was actually pretty cool. Like so like this was like Photoshop before computers. Literally in a shop, you'd take photos, edit them together, and then you would run them on a Xerox machine.
With an X-Acto knife and all that good stuff, huh?
Yeah, the whole thing with clear tape and projectors for like the big murals. They would have it was like literally two mirrors and a light bulb that would just throw the image on a wall. Wow. And then that's how they would do murals. That's one process. And then, so I got to learn all this hands-on very early, which plays into how I treat and handle my programs down the line. So when I use I use Corel Draw, which is a Canadian version of Adobe.
I use Adobe. That's Canadian too, though, isn't it?
Adobe? I don't
know.
It's very it got popular, but
it's expensive. That's what I know for sure.
Expensive. That's all I remember. And Corel's always been kind of like more. They're into everything, but they don't brag a lot. So
okay.
They're a very humble little program, but it's in everything. My art style is all vector based, so it's all geometric shapes and layering.
Vector really intimidates me. Can't get it to work.
Oh yeah. Well, that's what I like about Corel, because you create a shape and it's a primitive until you make it something you can change and move around. But in Adobe, you got to go through like 3 steps before you even get there.
So you're talking about Adobe Illustrator, right?
Illustrator, yeah. I'm sorry,
okay.
Illustrator, because Photoshop is the world famous. They take bitmapped images you can modify and create effects over it, and the math is off the chain as far as how it handles these effects and blends them in. It took Corel a while to catch up, but they're there. They've always had. Yeah.
I use Photoshop. I love Photoshop so much.
Yeah.
I would divorce my wife right now and marry Photoshop and take my kids and run away and live someplace in the woods if I was able to legally. No, I wouldn't, baby. I'm just joking.
No, I love you, baby. I love you.
I love you. Don't leave me. Anyway, your mom's an illustrator. You work with Corel.
Yeah, that was her first job, and then so what I used to do, how I learned to like draw, and my first into it. I used to draw the crowd scenes and animals for whatever design called for it. So she would show me how to draw, say, a zebra or a horse or something, and then I would just repeat that in a scene. And then the jobs, got a little bit more interesting and complicated. But I was that guy. I was drawing the little background scenes as an 8-year-old.
What do you mean by jobs though? Was she making?
Um,
Was she letting you do the work? Yeah.
I would help. No, not in the army. This was at the house. I can't go, obviously, because of the nature of her job. Kids aren't allowed in the actual. I could visit, but I can't hang out.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure I was always there at night, so I'm pretty sure I wasn't supposed to be there. Period.
Period.
But
Did she do the 20 and out thing, or is she still in?
Oh, she's retired. Yeah, she's
retired.
She's done. That was like a couple years ago.
Oh,
Now
okay.
she's a counselor for like high schoolers who want to. And her specialty is helping soldiers get reacclimated to workforce. So
And
like,
take her experience and use it for graphic arts in the civilian world.
she now it's just more like a hobby, and that's more my thing now. But if she needs something, she'll actually start it out, and then I'll go in and finish it.
Okay.
But yeah, it was like a long time coming. That was like a whole other life for her, because she when she got married to Pops, my dad. He's my stepdad technically, but he's my dad. He raised me. He it didn't make sense to have 2 soldiers in the house. And so she got a chance to be like the mom that stays at home and makes the lunches and all that. And then family stuff happened down the line where she had to actually go back into the army. And when she got back in, she worked for Charlie Company. This was like in Fort Bragg.
Okay.
Setting up radio towers, things like that. And then she went to she was actually a Desert Storm, Desert Shield, Desert Storm veteran.
Okay. So my dad's a vet of that work too.
Yeah, so she disappeared for like, a year. And that's actually like how I ended up in Washington State the first time.
Oh, I see.
And fell in love with Washington. And
oh yeah, it's beautiful up there.
Yeah, fell in love with Washington, and when the opportunity came back, she took it. And then that's how I've been here ever since. So that was like in 93, 94.
Oh, okay.
By the time we got to Washington, everything else was like
still.
I left Tacoma. It just got too hot. It way too much stupid, way too many memories because I've been there for too long that you just have to get away from it. And
that's what I heard about Tacoma. If you let the danger sneak up on you a little bit.
Yeah, it is. It really is. And it's like you cross the street, funny, you run into something. That's where gangsters from California go to fail. When they fail,
that's where the fail gangsters live. Is Tacoma.
That's exactly what it is. Like they're too stupid for California, and they're no good for anywhere else. They end up in Tacoma.
That's so scary. Stupid gangsters. That's got to be a comic book right there, man. That's just like jot that down and start penning that, because that's a moneymaker. Stupid gangsters of Tacoma.
It is, but it's real. It's like that's why I had to leave. Too many memories. There's every time we pass it, it's McCabe's. I think it's an old cowboy bar. And like every 4 months, somebody would as soon as somebody gets shot, they had to shut it down, and then they reopen it as something else. Yeah. And the bar is still there. It's on Portland. I want to say Portland Avenue or something, or the main drag that goes downtown, and right next door to the chocolate factory. The what's that little Almond Roca whatever factory? It's like right there across the street.
I had a job there in Tacoma. I worked at the homeless healthcare. I don't even know. It's like a little tiny hole in the wall
Yeah.
basically work behind the counter as a clerk, filing this and that, giving toothpaste. I was intimidated, man. The people that rolled into that place looking for medical care.
Hmm. I believe it. Yeah. It's
Then they weren't gangsters necessarily. These people are hard on their luck, but
yeah.
I'm surprised I lived, honestly.
Well,
I
yeah.
got
Yeah. It's pretty. It's like I said, a lot of memories. A lot of. I remember food banks, and there's a homeless shelter facility, like a bigger one. Um, it's it's changed a lot. The gentrification and all that. They pushed all the poor people over the hill, basically from Hilltop over, so that they can take over all that, clean it up, and throw in some condos.
It's really interesting
Um,
because you have Seattle, which is beautiful, right? On
yeah.
the west side of I-5. On the east
Hmm.
side of I-5, it gets a little rougher. And then there's Tacoma, which is rough. And then down in Olympia, it's beautiful again.
Yeah, yeah. It's like the Tacoma Lakewood kind of blends into each other, and Lakewood's kind of funny because they have like a literal fence that divides the hood,
Yeah, the American
basically.
Lake is there. That's beautiful too.
From
That's where the
yeah,
VA is.
from that side. Like if you go by the VA, it's all like lush trees and nice houses and all this. And then
It's beautiful.
as soon as you hit like Gravelly Lake and turn the corner, you're like Lakewood. It's like Lakewood, just like it's like every other Lakewood in the United
That's funny,
States. It's
man.
just ghetto as hell.
I live up here in the Bronx. It's like we have a hill, right? You go up a hill to get to my apartment building, and as soon as you get up that hill, it's nice. It's Riverdale. You go down that hill, and you're in basically not in a nice way.
Like
It's
none
like they
right
don't, it's
now.
like the bad guys don't want to walk up this hill or something. I don't know what's up.
Exactly. That's what's keeping them at bay. It's, oh, we gotta walk. Oh man.
No, we have to walk up that hill. I'm not going to do it. It's like the cardiovascular fitness is what's keeping the violence at bay or something. I don't
Exactly. It's
know.
the exercise.
The
That's funny.
exercise. Um,
Like man, but
where are you living at now?
all right.
You moved out of Tacoma?
I'm back in Lacey, and then because
Okay.
when my family moved to Washington State, my mom was stationed in Fort Lewis at the time. Now it's Joint Base Lewis McChord. Um, one of the first areas we moved into was in Lacey, Washington, which is like if you cross the street, then you're technically in Olympia.
Oh,
And
okay.
then
Yeah.
so it's really nice
Yeah. I
and
live down in
quiet.
Olympia. It's beautiful down
Yeah,
there. I love it so much.
it is, and it's amazing, and it's clean and it's safe. That's why I came back. But
Hmm.
that was part of it. The other part was that it just so happened my best friend from high school's sister. We got tired of talking about him, and it turns out we had a lot of stuff in common. So we just kind of made the move, and it ended up in Lacey again. She took over the family house, and that's where I raise my kids now. So
That's awesome, dude. So
yeah,
you're a dad.
I'm a dad. I got two
How
kids.
does being a dad affect your art?
I have to take time. I can't make time.
That
Because
is a really good point. The same
yeah,
thing. It's not I wake up in the morning and I get to write. It's I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and I have to write.
I have to write. I have to negotiate my time hard, and then
Yeah,
sometimes it's even a compromise between sleep and work.
yep. Hmm.
So everything I do is like when everybody's asleep. So I'll be here like two,
Yeah.
3 in the morning, still still working away at
So
whatever.
you're a night owl.
Yeah, I have to be. I mean, I was before, but now I really have to be because daddy duty's 24 hours. So even when they're
Yeah.
sleeping, I still gotta get ready, be up and at them. There's like sections of my office that are just for them, so that they can hang out with me, so that they don't. I don't. You always hear those stories about like the artist who's working on their work, but then they just kind of isolate themselves.
That's me.
And then so I didn't want to be that guy. So in my office, there's like chairs and couches and toys for them. They
Mhm.
even play with my toys. I have like Transformers and action figures that I keep around, mostly for me because these are things that I like, enjoy, and inspire me. But I also use them as art references in some of my designs. And the kids, obviously, toys are toys. So, and they're collectibles, but I don't care. If they want to
Yeah,
play
they're
with
out of
it,
the box, right? You play with
they're
them,
out of the
so
box. Yeah, and I don't. I used to run an anime shop, and I used to joke about the guy who's on their deathbed who's never got to play with the transformer that they kept on the shelf for 30 years. you know in the box. It's
oh,
mint condition. Bring me my
it's mint
Megatron.
condition.
Yeah. Bring me my
It's worth
Megatron so I
money.
can transform it one more time.
Or one
But
time.
or the one time, exactly. So I just rip it out of the box like I'm gonna play
That's
with
the
this. I
yeah,
have no
honestly, when I was
intentions
a
of
kid,
selling.
dude, that was the best part when you got a toy, tearing it out of the box for the first time. And
Yeah,
beyond that, it was
tear
just
it
a toy
up.
you put in your chest. I mean, how
Yeah,
old are
and
your kids?
all right. So my oldest daughter, she's 3 going on 4 in November.
Okay.
Um, and then my son is just turned 2.
My kids are
So
2. They just turned 2 in April, so they're like 2 months, 2 years and 2 months.
wow, yeah, that's fun. They're fun, aren't they?
They just turned fun, honestly. They
Yeah,
just
because
turned fun. They're talking and they're awesome and they're fantastic and man, they're just really fantastic
I
now.
just, yeah. Now I just like watching the little wheels turn while they're figuring things out. We
Yeah.
went to a Vietnamese restaurant yesterday with a family friend, and I'm watching my son play with a straw and water, and he's figuring out you can suck the water into the straw and then spit it out.
We go to restaurants. So my son is all about every single female in that building. Every single one of them he is flirting with endlessly. He wants off the table. He needs to go up to them and talk to them. My daughter is about the food. That's all she wants
Yeah,
is food. No, it's
that's
awesome, man.
hilarious.
Well, how has it influenced your art? You have these 2 kids. Has it impacted the way that you're looking at? Are you a storyteller or are you working in tandem with a writer or?
Oh no, I write too.
Oh, you write too.
As a matter of fact, the illustrations are what helps with the writing, because you can write whatever you want, but you have to show it at some point.
Hmm.
Describing it sometimes isn't enough. As far as like how it's influenced my work, I have found myself going back to my animation roots, doing
What do
more
you animate with?
cartoony, fun stuff
Oh, that's
that
cool.
I can show my kids, because I used to do like pinup girls and monsters and things like that. But
Well, the pinup girls, maybe not. The monsters. What kind of monsters did you used to do?
just a lot of cryptids. These are like your Sasquatches, your Australian drop bears, Thunderbirds, things like that. Just giant, augmented reality, just crazy looking monsters. Just whatever comes to my mind. Sometimes a lot of
You say
werewolves.
Australian drop bears, and I automatically every single time with.
It is. It is.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just a big. I even designed one that people like, which freaked me out, because sometimes you'll create something with no intentions of continuing with it. And the
Mhm.
drop bear that I designed was one of those things. Like, I designed it for Ghostbusters Australia franchise logo, and I actually developed it where it has a silhouette in the shape of a koala, but it's about the size of a chimpanzee with big hands and big feet. So when it drops on you, it's like a ton of bricks. And then it has facial features and characteristics of different Australian animals, like a pointed nose like a shark, ears like bat ears, little different features. And then it has a big mouth that opens up kind of like a snake.
That's so cool.
So
Is that exist on the internet in an animation form?
no, that's
Does
why
that
I had
exist
to.
on the internet in a form that you can send me a link
Oh, I'm
to?
sorry. Yeah. It does. It does. I'm sorry.
Because
I
that's the
thought you
type of
meant
stuff
like
I want you
somebody
to
else
send me.
made it. No.
No,
No. I usually
no,
try
I
to
want a
go.
link to that if you can send it to me. That'd be
Yeah,
so cool. I'd like to look at that.
I try to go for stuff that doesn't exist. That way I don't have to like. I'm not beholden to any kind of
Copyright.
copyright, which is kind of funny, because I do a lot of those Ghostbuster logos, but I actively try to make original new stuff. I stay
Hmm.
away from the no ghost. I've actually got to talk to I never met him in person before he passed away. Mr. Michael C. Gross,
Who
who's
is he?
he designed the original No Ghost logo that everybody recognizes.
All right.
So the little circle sash with the white chubby ghost in it, that's world famous.
That's what started up. That's what got us talking again on Facebook. Is when I noticed you were doing those like 2 years ago. I got curious what you were doing with them. You said you were selling them on Etsy. Did you say? No.
I was at the time we were talking. I was getting to the point where the demand was so high that I had to start looking for different places to sell them because I make the patches too. So not only do I design it from scratch, I also run them on an embroidery machine and make uniform patches. But yeah, that's one of those things like Etsy. I have an Etsy account, but nothing's on it.
Send me a link to that too, please.
Yeah, but let me see. But yeah, that's the drop bearer, and then I actually ended up doing him again for an MMA fighter named Danny Beauclerc. Nice guy, super nice guy. And so I did like an MMA version. I tried not to use the same character, but it was in a similar style. Because like I said, I already designed this formula for how I want to do a drop bear.
So what you're trying to do when you do an illustration is you never try to copy yourself. You're always trying to improve upon your own stuff.
Exactly. I don't want to get pigeonholed as the guy who does the one thing.
What? No, you're the guy who's doing the one thing too. So you don't even want to pigeonhole yourself.
Exactly. Because that's boring.
Interesting.
It'll just kind of like, I'm already kind of pushing it with the Ghostbusters thing, but I happen to love Ghostbusters. So, but I've done Star Wars, I've done some Avengers stuff. Like I say, once in a while, people, pay me or I do it to help somebody out that I know will appreciate it. That's another thing too. I don't, even the jobs I take on, I'm very particular about. Association and presentation is everything to me. So even when I take on a job, it's not because I need the money. Yeah, I need the money, but what I need is I need to build a rep. I need to build, quality over.
Well, how does somebody in your situation build a reputation?
Just be open. I don't want to be prejudiced and say I don't like such and such or whatever. I try to hear people out. I get to know somebody for a while, and then that'll kind of help with that. So a lot of sitting and waiting and observing with certain groups, certain people, just to see what they're about before I choose to include myself in that conversation. So
people don't like. I sought you out to include you in a conversation immediately when I started this podcast. I'm like, I got to talk to Lex because I want to hear what he has to say about art. And say I want to hear about you and your opinion. Because I would think, because what I've experienced, I don't even know why I wanted to. Just something about you suggested that you had something to say, and you do. I'm happy to hear. And you're like a treasure trove you're like a toy box of good ideas.
Yeah, I'm an ideas guy, and that comes from not complaining. You hear that a lot, and people say, they don't like people complaining. They don't like people complaining. I like solutions. It's one thing to tell me what I'm doing or not doing, but it's another thing if you bring a solution with that. Okay. So, like people are always in a hurry to smash on the new movie that, before it's even written, people are already criticizing it just because of the idea. They don't agree with the idea. So why don't you just come up with something to, what's your solution then? You got all this negative stuff to say. What can you do, or what can you contribute to the conversation to fix that? Sorry, I dropped my mic.
No, it's fine. That's interesting because I am upset with the way movies are being presented nowadays. It seems like comic book movies are the big wave of people love comic book movies. Comic book movies are being made every single quarter.
Yeah, every
That
month.
pop out every month, every 3 or 4 months. There's like 5 of them that just, oh, here's some comic book movies, guys. Give us your money. Where's the originality? Where are the new ideas at? But I'm not writing Hollywood.
Right.
It's a
Exactly.
good point.
And that's the thing is like, so yeah, try not to, it's like, try not to hold on so much to the negative side. Like what is it about it that got your attention that you like enough to commit to words that you don't like it? What was it that attracted you to that thing that pisses you off so much? And then what is it, you have to address those. You have to own up to what it is about a particular subject you don't like, and then come up with a solution.
You know what it is, and more than anything else, it's this idea in 1977, 61. There were these original ideas that came out that blew people away. Spider-Man and Star Wars. Over the decades, things were attached to them and built them up, and then they've become this, monstrosity of themselves. This gigantic monster with parts falling off of them, and they're barely standing on their own 2 legs. Crushing people while they're walking or whatnot. They're barely recognizable. That's what we love.
If like there's an example of that of something that can get so big even that it'll destroy itself is Batman.
Yeah.
Remember when the movie, the Batman Tim Burton movie came out, everybody was just like
loved it, right?
Loved it, right?
But that's not Batman. Batman was like this dude in a gray suit with a little yellow circle on his chest with his little friend run around solving crimes back in 1940s or
in the 60s.
Whatever.
Yeah, it started out in the 30s.
A campy, campy TV show.
Yeah, they had like those Saturday morning matinee reels, and then the 66 Batman, which is the Adam West.
What's the iconic image of that movie is with that shark on his leg. He's trying to shake it loose or whatnot.
Just cheesy, corny stuff, but it just kept going. And
you pick and choose. I mean, this dude takes out a 38 caliber revolver with a gigantic barrel, and he shoots down the bat plane.
That's right.
I mean, you could pick your Batman, and I'm not going to disparage. What's his name is Batman, the Batman Begins guy. Because that was good. Those 3 movies were fantastic.
Yeah, that's the thing.
The newest guy.
But it was so different from what was going on that people had a knee-jerk reaction and gave up on it.
This last one. Batman vs. Superman.
Oh, that one too. That one, it was just too different. That's the thing. But that's what happens when you try to evolve something that you like. Ghostbusters went through it too with all-female cast. The only major gripe is that it wasn't connected to the original. It's like you either are or you aren't, but you can't just sit there showing us the old logo and all the old stuff and then not address that this is from something else. Which I'm grateful for comics because they can do things like explain this visually, storytelling like a movie without a movie budget.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes people mad. You know what I mean? In terms of complaining about something, it's just like, well, we slapped a new coat of paint on this deal.
Yeah.
You guys want to enjoy it again and give us money for it?
All right, no. Power Rangers.
I wasn't of Ninja Turtles. I mean, I just want the originality, and that's why I complain, because I want to have something new. George Lucas made something. He's like, I'm gonna slap all these parts together, and you're gonna love it. And he was right. We loved it.
And then they curse his name when the prequel trilogy comes out, because God forbid you try something new.
But you know what? I heard his wife back in the 70s had a lot to do with character development, the editing.
She was an editor. As my understanding is, she was an editor. So, and it's about the team around you. So like, as far as like influences for my artwork, it's also the people around me that influence my interests.
How much does your wife have to do with what you're doing right now? And your children, we were talking about your children before we went on this tangent. We're talking about how they're keeping you honest and making you think about what you're doing in terms of, getting away from the monsters and the pinup girls.
Right. It's more focused. I mean, it was kind of organized a little bit before, as far as like the projects I take on and the story structures and designs, because like I said, I write screenplays on the side, only because the screenplay format is what suits me best, because this all has to do with dialogue and direction,
Mm-hmm.
with little parentheticals for how they should be feeling when but I'm able to get the conversations out of my head a lot faster. And
So when you're writing screenplays, are you writing comic book scripts, or
comic book scripts in the
are you writing
screenplay
scripts
format.
for?
It's
But
more
you're not writing for the screen though. You're writing for books
for anybody. That's
for
because
anybody.
I've had scripts that were converted into short films for my friends. Like when
Oh,
they're in film
interesting.
school. I had one. It was a 3-2-1 script. It was like three-page script with 2 characters, 1 scene. 3-2-1. And it was a conversation with 2 brothers. Spoilers: one of them was dead. And then it was very 90s. It just kind of like like, okay, and through conversation with her before I even committed to writing it, I already knew what she wanted to say.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a pretty good idea of like how to what to do with that story, only because I knew, again, I have to know somebody to get in their head a little bit and take a peek before I get in there and start adding my flavor. so
Well, how do you feel about
so
character? Now, you're saying you write stories, you write scripts. When you're developing a character, do you do the same thing there? Do you peek under the hood? Do you kind of look and see what's making people work that way too? Imagine people?
yeah, it's sometimes they're based on people I know. Sometimes they're based through conversations I've had. It depends on the story, but every character that appears in my work has a profile. In some cases, they even have a beginning, middle, and end, like
Mm-hmm.
how they die, how they lived, and then how they came to be that person, or how they were born.
Before we move on, do you have any links to the films that were made off your work?
I don't even know if it's there anymore, but while we're talking, I can look for it.
Cool, cool.
It was like a little short film thingy.
Question I had about earlier. What software do you use for your animation?
All right, so for my builds, I use CorelDRAW.
Okay.
Right now, I'm still using CorelDRAW 16. It's a jump between CorelDRAW X3 and X6. They just decided to take a dramatic turn with their names, so it's 16 and 13. 13 I use for the embroideries, because the software I use it's called Drawings. It's a conversion software that uses CorelDRAW 13 as
Mm-hmm.
a primary, and then before it adds all the digitized stuff to it. 16 is just a newer version of Corel. They're like on 18, I think, now. I usually don't mess with Corel except for like every second or third version, because when they build them, they're not that much different. So it's
Yeah.
like I can't afford to throw money at
Yeah.
every other year.
No,
So
I get that.
I wait till like 2 or 3 iterations down the line before I commit to a new one. And usually it's worth it for me because they work out all the bugs. I think I've only ever run into one Corel, like between Corel 8, 12, and 13, or 8, 12, and 13. They had like a weird thing going on, but I'm on 13. I kept because of the software, and I'm moved on to 16.
No, 16. Can you do animations with that?
Yeah, you can. Yeah. I'm
Is
sorry.
it kind of like? Is it kind of like you have an image and then you're? Yeah. So I'll tell you why I'm asking. I want to put some of my fiction with illustrations, and I want those illustrations to kind of move. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm just not quite sure how to make it work.
I know it's capable of it. So yeah, you can totally make animations with between CorelDRAW, the program itself, and then there's Corel Photo Paint, which does it helps create GIF. I can't.
Okay.
I had to teach myself to say that word GIF, because it's GIF.
But it's GIF.
GIF is GIF.
But you're not saying the right word though.
GIF.
We're not using peanut butter here.
Yeah, exactly. But the guy who created it, he said that's how it's pronounced. And I had to psych myself out because it's like G like in Ghost or G like in Gel.
Yeah, hold on a second. Do I say GIF or GIF? I say GIF.
Yeah,
Now
people
I
say
know
GIF. Now it's
people. I
GIF.
think I say GIF. I think I say GIF. Don't
Yeah.
confuse me, man. It's too complicated.
Yeah, okay. So we'll go back. So you can do animation. You can do like frame animation, simple. You can scan them in and then put them one after another into the program, and it'll tie it together for you as a GIF or GIF animation. Sorry, animation. Um, and how far you can go with that, I don't know. What's funny about programs and software is that you'll only learn like maybe 10%
Of what
of
it's capable of.
what it's capable of. Because that's in my job, I do illustration, a lot of 2D stuff, a lot of flat things that appear on a poster type of thing. Very very seldom do I ever. That's my passion with animation. I want to do cartoons and
Hmm.
things like that, but I never seem to find myself there. I'm
Yeah.
always a designer type, right? Like I come up with the stuff and then somebody else kind of, exchange of services, and then they go off and do whatever.
See, I don't want to pay anybody for anything. I want to figure it all out myself.
Yeah, I'm that
and
guy too.
then
That's
the
how I
problem
got
is
into.
I run out of time. I
Uh,
write the fiction. I don't have any time to do the art, so I borrow stuff off the internet and try to manipulate it, and I still don't even have time for that.
yeah,
And then I have this podcast, and I try to do the editing for that, and I don't want to share because I don't want to pay anybody for anything.
right. Because that's a resource that has to go out the window,
Yeah.
and that's how I got into embroidery. That's how I got into IT, fixing computers. Is
Now
that
that embroidery thing is so cool though, because that actually, if you're doing the sewing, you have the patches, and you have Emerald Con right there, I would think that you'd be like parked in that convention
Oh yeah,
selling those things.
it's happening. I'm always working and wheeling and dealing. That's how I got into the embroidery, so I can learn. And then
Hmm.
uh, the lady who helped me, her name is Shaddai.
Hmm.
She's like a friend's mom. is how it usually goes. And she's actually a designer. She creates wedding dresses. But that's her job, is she does wedding dresses. Runs a business. But she also designs like purses and dolls and just whatever. If you can sew it, she can make it. She's so good, she makes her own patterns. You know,
Uh-huh.
so she doesn't. Yeah, um, but she has this embroidery machine, and same thing as everybody else. It's just there's no time, to learn a whole other system. And I at the time I was running an anime shop, and I wanted to sell things that were different. And so one of those different things was like embroidered patches for costumes.
Hmm.
Naruto, the anime about a ninja, a kid who's becoming like a ninja master, was a big thing. And those they always wore like these patches on their uniforms, this of a red circle with a spiral in it. And I wanted to have those for the shop so that when people are making their costumes, they can have that something nice, something of quality. And it just kind of turned into something else over time, because the more I realized I already do the illustrations on my own time. So what would it take to convert those illustrations into embroideries? And I
Hmm.
just couldn't see myself paying someone $60 every time
Hmm.
that I want to do something,
Yeah.
And I design. I just crank out designs left and right.
And on the sewing is like nothing.
It's nothing. It's
Right.
really like
So
because the
cool.
materials. If you go to Joann's with a coupon, I don't even need a business account. you know, I just go with the Joann's with coupons and buy the materials, pay cash. So I can keep using another coupon. um, but yeah, and then
To
it just
me
kind of.
is I'm looking at it like you're an artist, you're an illustrator, you're a storyteller, you've got all these screenplays, you've got all these scripts, you've got this box of patches, you've got your Ghostbusters Comic Con, your cosplay. You go down to Emerald Con, you make your money back for your tickets. You're making money, you're profiting, and you're making contacts. You're talking to people about what your art is, and you're getting emails. You're making lists of people.
Yeah.
You're brilliant. It's brilliant.
And that's all from over time, and it's not like a big flood of people, but I'm so spread out that something is happening all the time. So if maybe like right now the machine is off, it's sitting here right next to me, so I can catch my breath. But I'm still designing and illustrating. And then when I'm not doing that, I'm talking to somebody about, the next story they want to tell. Sometimes it's my story I want to tell, but, oh yeah, I guess so. I don't know. I never thought about it.
That's really interesting because, I mean, really, honestly, somebody of your, obviously you have talent. Obviously you have vision, but do you have the drive to push through a project? Are you dedicated to one thing, or do you find yourself flying from project to project to project? You have 100 different things working at one time.
I have a lot of things going on at the same time. A lot
do you
of
ever
times
finish something?
I finished a lot of projects. That's another big deal to me too. Is like it's not enough to say you're an artist or that you can do something. Have you ever finished something? Because I'll ask people to their faces like, so you wrote a script. Have you made a movie? I mean, I've written scripts and stories, and I've only ever seen like out of everything that I've done, I've only seen like maybe 2 or 3 of them actually make it to like actual video.
That brings up an interesting question though, because if I write a script, is it fair to say did I make a movie? Because what would be the next step for a screenwriter? It'd be to write a script, right, or opponent to that.
I would, if you're gonna get into all that, I would be a producer and just like make the movies and keep the money. So you're not, again, it goes back to like resources. Like you don't want to pay somebody
Sylvester
else.
Stallone, huh?
Yeah, you keep the money.
Rocky.
Yeah, exactly. He's actually like him, Dan Aykroyd.
Dude's a badass, honestly.
Mel
He
Brooks.
seems like this big dumb dude, but he's like a badass writer. He's a badass producer. He's a badass director. He's a badass actor.
I love him.
He's like one of the. He's gonna die, and people are gonna be like, "Damn."
They're gonna find out.
He's gonna find out. Yeah, his reputation is gigantic.
He's Sylvester Stallone for a reason.
Yeah, I mean Arnold Schwarzenegger, but I don't think Arnold Schwarzenegger even did half the things Sylvester Stallone has done in his career.
No, he's Arnold's like he's a people person, that's for sure.
I was gonna say charismatic. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. He's that guy, but he busts his ass too when he's got something on his mind, or he's committed to an idea. He's all about that. But but he's got nothing on Sylvester Stallone.
It's a good way to be. I mean, definitely.
One day they're gonna like Arnold's gonna run out of shit to do. He's gonna find this podcast.
He's gonna come looking for you.
He's like, "Oh, you little bastard."
No, I think he knows. I think he worked with Sylvester Stallone. I think one of the things about, getting off course, Arnold Schwarzenegger is probably one of the people that recognizes talent. And he worked with Sylvester Stallone in building, what is that, Planet Hollywood?
With
I don't know whether,
I remember it was like Bruce Willis, Stallone, and Arnold. That was their first.
One other person too, wasn't it? I can't remember. Maybe it was the Holy Trinity.
Yeah, at the time, the action hero trilogy, right? Trinity, right there was those 3 guys, and it's like fuck people. That was an awesome idea. Like
it really was. There is one still. It's up here in Manhattan.
Oh yeah. Oh man. Yeah. They had one in Seattle, and I was so sad when they shut it down. And then because it's like it's expensive ass food, but you get to sit and you're like looking across the room, just like Hard Rock, and you see like a Terminator or Bruce Willis's police badge from Die Hard.
I worked at one in Dallas once for like a few days. I got another different job, but I ate the lasagna. It's horrible. It was not good.
Yeah.
But I sat there and looked at the Terminator for a few minutes while I was eating. It's like got to keep their little T-shirt. Now they're a cool concept. It really was. It was interesting.
But it was just kind of like again, they build cheap, sell high. You know, they didn't want to pay their cooks, is what it is.
Oh, is that? Yeah, that's nobody wants to pay anybody anything.
Nobody wants to pay anybody.
That's a subject.
It's easier to set up a restaurant and then sprinkle in all your toys that are in all your movies and your friends' movies and and just
That gets us right back to, you write a screenplay. What do you do next? You want to build a movie, but you don't want to pay anybody to do anything either. You want to gaff your own chords. You want to build you want to, work your own camera. You want to act in it. You want to direct it because you don't have any money.
You don't have any money. No budget.
You don't have any money. You can't do everything. You can't pay anybody to do anything. So now you've got the script. What do? You know what I mean? There's a are you Reddit? Are you on Reddit at all?
You know what's funny is like I just started actually going to Reddit. It's like a lot of people are like surprised, like because I do Facebook a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly just kind of like interacting with. It was at first it started out as a way to keep up with friends and family because I was moving around a lot at the time. So before that it was MySpace. And then somewhere along the lines, I ended up on LiveJournal and Zynga, shut them down. And then now I'm on Facebook. and then a couple years ago, when I started getting heavy with the patches, I started like an Instagram so that I can take pictures with very minimal feedback and commentary. Because sometimes I just wanted to show my work.
Yeah.
And a compliment is nice. But I just wanted to have a way to showcase my work. And then I actually made my personal account private because I have kids and I don't want.
I just removed Facebook completely. Don't post anything. My wife posts pictures on her account. I just don't even mess with it. I had an ex-girlfriend ask me for pictures. I'm like, huh?
Yeah, no thanks.
Really want to send?
No.
I'm done.
Like, oh, like we're not friends anymore.
But it's like everybody's gone.
Yeah, like, kill them all. Push the button. You're like sweating.
I didn't want to delete it because I know it doesn't go away, and I didn't want all my pictures that I don't want to have on a hard drive. I like the cloud. I like the concept of a cloud.
Yeah.
But what was I going to say? Reddit has these communities, and these communities are all kind of like workshops of artists, basically. And there's one that works where you basically, the word is escaping me completely. I'm like 40 years old, and I swear I'm going senile already. I'll find it, and I'll send you a link to it. It's basically just finding other partners to do work with you. This guy I talked to a few weeks ago, he found an artist and a colorist to help him build this comic book or this graphic novel, and they're doing just beautiful work together. It's a great idea. So, I mean, why do everything when you can find somebody to help you do it for free?
Yeah.
And potentially.
Yeah, and there is such a thing as people joke, and it's like kind of a serious joke, so it's not even a haha funny joke about exposure and this, that, and the other. And again, you need to pay attention to like who you choose to associate with, because when I was coming up with my art, everybody had an idea what to do with it. Oh, you can write, you can draw, you can do this, you can do that, and it's like all of a sudden like they want me to do things for them, but they don't. But they're like, it's okay, man. Like when the money comes in, I'll get you back. I'll get you back. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So can you get me back this week? Because I got a phone bill,
Yeah, I mean, I understand that completely. I mean, you want to own your projects, and it gets exhausting to the point of what projects do you actually have? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is like I have stuff that's just that I finished that's just waiting in the wings.
Yeah. What do you do with it? Where do you put it?
I just hoard it up. It's kind of lame. It's like I wish I could say something like I have a little comic that no, I don't.
I don't know. I mean, a suggestion, there's YouTube. YouTube is our place to put stuff. And there's Reddit too, as a place to market stuff. I like Twitter. I'm not a big Facebook fan. I'm not really sure how to use it. It just seems like everybody, it goes.
Yeah,
it's
too much. It's too much sometimes because people forget that nobody cares.
Exactly.
about anything as much as you do. So no matter, like, it doesn't matter if they're your bestest friend ever, and that they've been with you through thick and thin, and you know. But when it comes down to something that anybody, I tell them point blank with the projects, especially when I take on project, nobody's gonna care about as much about this as you do. Not even me, and I'm working on it. So the
That's
only
very
thing I
true.
care about is that the check clears and car payment is made.
Yeah,
So
as an example, what I was thinking about when you said that was, does that statement include me?
everybody, yeah, you gotta be that guy. But believe me, for my friends,
Does
like
that picture have me in it somewhere? Nope, I'm
you
not
know, it's
interested.
no, and it's kind of true. Like I wouldn't sit here away from my family, away from things I actually have to do to talk to anybody. If it wasn't you, it wasn't my friend, you know, I wouldn't be on a radio or video. I don't do video, but yeah, you gotta mean something to me. You mean something to me,
I
you know.
appreciate that, man.
So that's why I'm here to help. You said you got a new show. You need somebody to talk.
Well, also, I hope that this gives you some exposure. I mean, honestly, this is a brand new project. I don't really have any
Yeah,
exposure for it, but maybe
I
someday
think
this
it's
will pop
fun.
a little bit, and like somebody will say, "Hey, Lexan, I like your, Lexan. I just love your name like that." But Alex
Yeah.
Sanchez, here, let me check out your art. I want to do something with you, or not even do something with you. Let me just look at your stuff.
Yeah, even if
Let me
it's
buy
just
some
to
of your
look.
prints. Let me buy some of your patches, which is what you're after.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now is the patch thing and prints. I do sell them. I'm very shy about that because it, like, again, it goes back all the way to earlier. We were talking about copyrights. I'm dancing on the razor's edge, like, with this Ghostbuster thing. But I do have the fan made custom stuff is available to buy. So if you want like phone cases and T-shirts, stickers, things like that, I have web pages. Matter of fact, while we're talking about it, I should be loading that up. But so it's available to buy, and a lot of the money just basically goes back into more projects.
Or get your
That's
name out there, man. I want to talk to you in a few months, again, just to see if you've had any new ideas or see how things are going with you in this project of yours.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, for Ghostbusters Day, I put out a Spy versus Spy parody, which probably only makes sense to other Ghostbusters, but it's just fun to look at. Let me see here. That's actually on my Facebook right now. I'm so bad at this. All right, so here's I'm sending you a link to my Redbubble and TeePublic are
Oh,
the
perfect.
two for the shirts, and so anything you see on my DeviantArt, that first link that I sent you, actually has links. Anything that's available to buy as something has links in the description.
Okay.
Also, another big thing to me is creator notes, like my little commentary on what the hell I was thinking when I made that type of thing. I actually put those like in everything. It's a big deal to me because it shows your work,
Oh, okay.
right? So
What does that mean? What does that mean exactly?
kind of like college when you write an essay or report, show your work,
Okay.
do the math, that type, show me your process, tell me how you came to this. Because a lot of times an artist who puts up their design and has nothing to say, I start asking questions. Like, where did you find this? Or one of those. Did you make this? Because of swiping, which is like a term used for plagiarism in art,
Yeah.
is a very big thing.
I'm very guilty of it, I would imagine. I just go on Google Images and just,
Yeah,
I like that. I take it and I use the crap out of it.
but
But I don't
it's
really
but
do art though. I'm a writer, so it's like I don't have any ownership to anything. I just like
and
doodle.
it's another thing to claim it as yours. That's the thing. It's one thing to do that. Everybody does that. No denying. But if you sit there straight faced and look at me and say, I made this,
That's mine. I
that's
made
mine, I
this.
made
I
this,
drew it.
Yeah, you're a fucking liar. Yeah,
Yeah, I would be the first one not to say that. Nope, I did not
yeah,
do any. It's not mine at all. I
because
copied that, and
yeah,
yeah, I'm not going to do that.
yeah,
But
because you're
I'll be the first one to tell you. I totally just went on Google Images and
yeah,
took that shit off of there.
because you'll find out how Puerto Rican I can get
No.
if you sit there telling me this freaking lie. So, but yeah, yeah, that's a big deal. So
Yeah, it is a
so
big
for
deal.
me, descriptions showing, I have on my Facebook page. There's like, and the photo albums are all organized so that if you see my patches, sometimes I even show the process or the progress of how I came to that design.
Let me ask you a
Um,
question. In terms of somebody finding something that you've worked your ass off on, that you've sweated over, that you've put your blood and soul
yeah.
into, that that you basically love, is almost, obviously you don't love as much as your children, but they like it so much they copy it and they use it on their blog.
Mm-hmm.
Source you. How do you want them to cite you? Or is that
Um,
something that you absolutely never want to see happen?
no. You know what? I'm fine with it, except for, um,
They
if
don't say it's theirs. They don't say
yeah,
anything at all,
if it
basically.
shows up, I
Or
just
what you
introduce myself, and I always look for something to compliment. So I never go at them angry. Only it goes back to listening and communicating with people by observing.
Oh, that's cool.
So
So I find a piece of your art. I'm blown away by it. I write a 500, 600 word story inspired by it. At the end of the story, I use your little, I use a little clip of your art and I put your name and website on it. You're cool with that.
oh, I'm fine with that. As a matter of fact, I'd go in there and I'd repost it.
Oh, cool.
I'd repost the shit out of it. Go to this guy's page. He did this. It's awesome. I would find the words. It'd be more eloquent than that. But I would promote the hell out of it for you. If I believe in your project and I totally dig it, I have no problem endorsing or um,
Do you think
if
all artists feel the same way, or are there degrees?
um I can't speak for all artists. I know how I am, but I would like to think that they would the ones who are worth it support each other, have each other's backs. Whether it's like I've gone on pages and found other people's work. I don't even know that person, but I have them as a friend,
Mhm.
and I'll let them know like, hey man, so and so is running your design, and then I try to do the footwork for them. Um, to find out in advance, like if they're trying to pass it off as their own. It's happened at Comic-Con this year, as a matter of
Oh,
fact.
wow.
I don't want to throw any names out there, but there's a guy who's selling posters. Hint.
Yeah, that's horrible.
Who's from other who these designs are from other artists who I know for a fact they don't work for any studios. They're just like me. They do fan art, but they do original fan art. So it's not, and he's just selling posters. And I actually went on online. I don't even know the guy, but like I said, I have him as a friend, and he's based out of Australia. He's actually lives in New York somewhere. And I told him like, hey man, I saw somebody like selling your stuff as posters. Can you hit me back? And then so and I try to find out like, and it turns out it does have a happy ending. He did know that there was a guy at the shop at the at the convention who was selling posters with his designs on it, so he knew, and he was okay with it. But sometimes it's not okay. Sometimes you'll see
Yeah.
articles that I post to repeat. Some guy at a convention in Florida, he's selling people's artwork. That's not available or exclusive art to certain artists, and it happens all the time. Um, it's actually happened to me a couple times with my pinup girls, and my some of my Ghostbusters stuff ends up on somebody else's art page as a T-shirt, and what they'll do is they'll take the design and they try to recolor it. They try to edit it down. They'll add text to it. But it's a lot of times they're just super fucking lazy, and I feel sad for them.
Yeah.
Because if stealing from me is like the only way that makes you feel good, what the fuck, man?
Yeah.
You know,
What if
like,
they came at you and said, "Hey, can we partner up? I have some ideas for your design. I'd like to
if
slap it on
if
some
if I
t-shirts
have
with
the
some
time
text."
or whatever, I would totally help. If they come at me like that, honest and open and ready to work, I have no problem meeting them halfway on some level, however I can do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm fine with that.
Because
It's the ones
I
who,
know that's an issue, original content being pirated
yeah,
like that and then utilized by unscrupulous people for
yeah,
nefarious purposes or whatnot.
yeah. Oh man, the worst, the worst case for me was someone took my pinup girl, and it was one thing to swipe it and try to make it their own, but they were selling stickers to children.
Ugh.
Um, they edited out her boobs and try to make her look like a little girl, but she's still got that wasp waist and big hips, and this, when I design those pinup girls, they are not for children. My own daughter doesn't have those. Even on my pages where I can sell children's T-shirts, they're not available as children's T-shirts. They're not for children; they're for adults. You know, um, preferably somebody who's like, you know, mature and enjoys, you know, fun stuff, but is not a dick. You know,
Hmm.
so I can't control who the audience is, but I can control where the content goes and how it appears.
Preferably somebody who
So
can handle that type of mature
yeah,
material.
and
Yeah.
I mean, it was like I was on a vacation in one of my first family trips with my kids and my wife and everything, and I was in Canada, Vancouver, BC, and my phone just blew up because people are finding it at a show, and I was like, I don't know that motherfucker. You know, what the hell is he doing with it? And then when I found out what he was doing with it, I actually sought the guy out. Which sucks because I'm in the middle of my vacation, screaming at some guy through a phone in Texas. You know, because he wanted to be lazy. You know, and
Hmm.
I ended up writing a letter to him about it, and then just that, you know, he has skills and talent because I have seen his actual work, and not to do that. And if he's gonna do that, like, you gotta let somebody know, man, and you gotta like
Hmm.
recognize and understand, you know, this is a pinup girl. This is not for children. What you're doing is very shady and wrong. I don't even know you, but I fucking hate your guts. No, I'm joking. It's just inappropriate. You know what it is. And
That would be an attitude that a father would have. Did you have the same attitude before you became a father, do you think? Or do you think that's something that you kind of mellowed into as
before
a
becoming a father, I was an
progenitor?
uncle. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was an uncle, and then before that, I was a son. So, you know, and my dad, pops, was basically kind of my go-to whenever it comes to being a dad. I have a few people tune that I think of and tune into to kind of put into dad mode.
Hmm.
And we all have daughters, so
Yeah.
and then I think I'm more with when my daughter was born. I think I was more over time. I was became more concerned with not just her but the guys in her life. With a daughter, with a son, you only have to worry about one carrot.
Yeah.
With a daughter, you got to
You
worry
have to
about
worry
the whole
about
fucking
billions.
garden. Yeah, all the
Yeah.
gardens.
Oh man, I love that metaphor. God, I
So
hate that metaphor.
it's like fuck.
Ah! Yeah,
Why?
stay 2 years old. Please don't
Yeah,
grow up.
forever. Just
Ever.
stay little forever. But yeah, but you know, I'll have to deal with that when it comes. But I
So,
have to
well, you're going to be a year ahead of me. Well, actually, man, we'll be dealing with it basically around the same time.
around the
So,
same time. I think I'll
yeah,
still be ahead, but not by much. And then
not by much.
because I
Maybe.
got two, because like I said, I got two kids. I love my wife so much. We have to go for it again. um, we just yeah, it was just kind of But yeah, that upset me a lot. It still kind of bothers me. Not gonna lie, yeah, I still think about that stuff. As a matter of fact, I stopped making pinup girls because of that.
It's very interesting because you're actually a public persona. Even though you work in a basement, the windows are shielded with curtains, and you're not out there in the street with a sign saying, "Look at me." You're actually a public persona with a sign blinking saying,
Yeah.
"Here's what I've got, guys. I am Lexan. I am wanting to be publicly recognized as an artist, and
Yeah.
this is what I produce." And you produce that. And for the rest of your life, they're going to be able to see the pinup girls as your produced content. They're going to be able to see your drop bears. They're going to be able to see your cartoons and your scripts and whatnot.
Yeah.
While you're recognizable for the next 3 generations or however long you hang out, if you're lucky enough to be a Shakespeare for the next 600 years or whatever,
Right.
you are going to be,
it's out there.
Fully recognizable. Yeah, it's out there forever.
Yeah,
forever.
It's out there. That's why it's a big deal. Association, quality, all that. It matters because you know what? There's still people that remember me from the anime shop. And that was 10 years ago.
Yeah. I remember you from a horrible job that we both held for a very brief moment of time.
That was like the most questionable experience of my life without a safety word ever.
That was just I worked that job for a year and a half, man.
Did you? Yep. I was just like I don't know what
that place. Oh my god, dude, that job sucked so bad. They were some crooked people.
It was pretty shady because like it didn't matter. What I realized early on being there was it didn't matter who or what we were doing so much as if they liked you or not.
No, it didn't matter who you were. They mattered how many people were sitting in that training classroom. That's all they were getting their money for.
That's what that was their money. And it was like, why the hell was training like that fucking long?
Because that's all they cared about.
Before you even got the hands on with anything. It's like, what the fuck? But
they got rid of you and they filled this seat with somebody else. I mean, basically, they did not care. They just wanted people.
And I was actually all right because I went right back to REI. So,
yeah, you had a job lined up. I mean,
yeah, I had a job lined up. That's why I gave no fucks. But because even with my projects, even with my own personal work, outside of things like that, you got to have something ready. You got to have at least some kind of idea of a plan or an action. I already had stuff in motion because I knew. Like I think I was like 2 or 3 weeks in, and I was like, I'm fucking done. This is.
I was dangling over the abyss for like years there for a little while.
Yeah.
Dangling, clutching at roots, trying to pull myself up.
Man,
it's
just not good. It doesn't even. It doesn't even show up on a resume like what we did. It was like that, and then when people mention it or bring it up, that they're going to get into that or whatever, I say, tell you what, I don't want to say no because I don't know who's there, but I will tell you this, this is what to expect. And then you got to have something.
It's not going to last forever.
It's not going to last forever. Sure. This is not a career is what it is. It's not anything.
Unfortunate. Because that's the world that we live in too, unfortunately. Those type of jobs, those minute by minute jobs are just basically all that are available right now.
Yeah.
Unless you can figure something else out. It's
horrible. You got to have like an actual skill. I'm doing my art because I left REI. I just there's no passion there, and I went back to school, and then my life really happened. The whole other thing happened, and what it was is like, why am I in this warehouse filling these boxes for somebody else? We're talking like hundreds of $1,000s worth of merchandise. Every day I'm handling this. Somebody actually has money to throw at a $700 jacket.
Yeah.
A parka. And they're not even like going to a mountain. They're going just to have it because some celebrity was wearing it. And it was just kind of like it just over time it just like picks at you and picks at you.
Yeah.
And so
because I mean, especially if you have a creative soul, it's like, why am I wasting my time doing this? I'm going home exhausted. I can't do my thing. I can't wake up tomorrow morning and do my thing because
do my thing.
My hands hurt.
Yeah, and you got nothing to say because it's not what you're doing at the time is not in your heart. It's on your mind. It's, you know, cause for concern. But it's so anybody listening to this right now, if you're an artistic person, stop whatever the fuck you're doing and get to work.
Yeah.
Do your
Find
art.
a way to make it happen. Find some
Make
beach.
it happen.
Travel. Do stuff.
Yeah. Don't make the time. Take the time.
Take the time. You only have one trip, right?
You really
have
do.
one trip.
Nobody gets out of here alive.
That's true.
You can't
That's
take it
very
with you.
true.
So,
Mr. Sanchez, what do we have, my friend? Did we forget anything that we need to mention?
No. This is for now. I think this is great. So
we're going to reconvene in a few months, and you're going to tell me how things are working out because this is a very enjoyable conversation, and I thank you so much for being willing to sit with me for the last hour or so and go over your life and tell me some stuff I didn't know.
Yeah, man. No, if you have a question, that's another thing too. Is as an artist and as a person who wants to communicate and sell your work, you need to like really be open and ready to say something. You might not think you're interesting, but you got nice guys who ask great questions. You know, it'll come out. It'll come out, and it's a lot easier to talk about something like having these interviews because they're actually talking about something that I like. You know, I know a lot.
This is about you. It's not about me.
Yeah, but it's fun. It's fun. It's still about you,
man.
Too.
Well, yeah, I get to add my 2 cents every once in a while.
Yeah, it's still about you.
But you know what it is? Your 25 cents adds to my 2 cents. So at the end of the day, I got 27 cents, and that's all that matters, really. It makes me a richer person, honestly. I mean, like I said, you're number 21, and I feel richer having had all these conversations. I did not, before I decided to do this, I'm just a much richer person because of having had all these people to talk to.
Yeah, it's
really
fun.
I'm so happy that I got to do this. I'm so happy that I got to talk to you today. It just makes me feel really full.
Thanks.
Yeah,
no
man.
problem.
Thank you. And I'll let you know when it's up. It'll probably be a few weeks. I'm kind of editing the YouTube videos, and man, it makes me so sad, but I'm just having a hard time with the feed for the podcast, but it'll happen. I'm dedicated.
It's gonna happen. Just commute, like, because I've heard it like dip out, dip in, and I'm just all you can do is listen. Effective listening, people. Effective listening. It's not enough to just talk. You gotta listen too. And don't listen to reply, okay? Just to react. Don't listen to react. You listen so that you can reply. So don't react, reply. Be honest. That's another thing too that I can tell people is, about your situation and your life. Like, what can you do? Because you can't just quit everything and then go to work. I get that because I was that guy. I've worked gas station jobs. I've worked call centers. I've worked things that are just not pleasant to get to where I need to be.
But that's who makes you a full person, man. I've been there too. I've smelled gasoline at home on my hands. I've done the crap jobs. I've done day labor, because I needed food. I've done it because I wanted the 99-cent spaghetti sauce because I was hungry.
You gotta do it.
Yeah. You gotta do it. You gotta do it. Because for some stupid reason, my DNA calls me to be a writer. I don't know why it's there. I don't know why it's there. It's stupid. It's so dumb, but it's there. And I got why is it there?
Exactly. But you got to do it. And all those experiences matter because a lot of that goes into the writing.
Yeah. I know what a blister feels like.
Yeah. You actually know what work is and what it's like to like be so fucking tired. You can't move a muscle. Mm-hmm. So, but all right, man.
Yeah, definitely, dude. It was really cool. I really appreciate talking with you, man. It was awesome.
Excellent.
Have a great day.
You too. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
And that was Lex. And I can't say enough good things about the guy. I really enjoyed that conversation and will definitely be looking for an opportunity to speak with him again and reach out to see what he thinks about stuff going forward. I do have podcasts coming up. Let's see, my next conversation was with a gentleman by the name of L. Todd Wood, a former Air Force fighter jock, Desert Storm vet, used to ferry special operations back and forth to missions. He's a Russian expert, a lot of interesting things to say. Had a great time talking with him. I will get that edited and on YouTube and on the podcast as soon as possible. Otherwise, follow me, Bry, BRYAIELLO, on Twitter. Check out my website. I will be doing maintenance on that as soon as I stop being lazy, brianyellow.com. Send me emails, me@brianyellow.com. Ask me questions, comments, do what you got to do. If you want to be on the show, let me know. Also, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play. If you can rate, comment. I listen to podcasts all the time. Hosts are always asking their listeners to do so. Supposedly it helps. The more listeners, the better off we'll do, and that'll make me happy. Being happy is supposed to feel really, really good. Anyway, thanks for listening. I really appreciate it. Have fun. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.